Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, my good viewers. You know, it is interesting what topic I have decided on for today's narrative. Incidentally, it relates to, the atmosphere, the sky, the sun, and it was in fact a sunny day till the sunset, and it was bright all the day, despite being in the last leg of rainy season. Hardly any patch of cloud, very, very bright. Now, as the sun was setting, it became blue, a blue sky. And the subject relates to the space, to the sky, to the atmosphere, all about nature. But since it's going to be a very serious subject, yet interesting, I will begin with a small, in fact, quotation, or rather, something which will make you happy and probably will create some smile and laughter before we set on. This is from a little book called 1000 Smiles. 1000 Smiles. And I read it almost every day to smile at all others, friends, family members, neighbors, and almost everybody I come across. And I also smile with myself to make myself happy. The little quote, hear me out, closely. The title is Quick Flash. It says, again about the sky, watching lightning at night. Watching lightning at night, a little girl said to her mother, "Is that God taking pictures? Is that God taking pictures?" Little girl so innocently asked her mother, "Is that God taking pictures?" That's a quick flash. Quick flash. The flash in the sky. It's all about atmosphere. All about sun-related matters. So this being a little pun, or little, quicksand joke, or just a quotation, and yet so interesting and so true. The little girl doesn't know. She asked her mother, was it God taking pictures? Wow, how nice, how beautiful. Well, my good viewers, ladies and gentlemen, the subject of my narrative today is captioned Ozone Layer. Ozone layer depletion and global warming. Ozone layer depletion and global warming. A cause of great concern. A cause of great concern. Ozone layer depletion and global warming, a cause of great concern. That is the subject of my narrative today. Very difficult, but we all got to know about it. That's why I picked up the subject. It's very close to my heart though, about climate change, about difficulties, about being, unclose to nature, or to be unfriendly to nature. All human beings have been doing it for centuries and centuries and centuries. Now, today, we are faced with a terrible problem of global warming because of ozone layer depletion. It is depleting day by day. And there are very good reasons for that. I would like to dilate on them for your benefit and try and see whether we can reduce the process of depletion of ozone layer, because it's a very important subject, very important element. And there will be two parts. In the first part, this will be about ozone layer depletion and global warming. But in my second part, there will be yet another very interesting yet very serious topic, which is called the black hole. The black hole. I'm sure many of you know about that. But of course, it's part and parcel of ozone layer depletion process. Okay. Now, my dear good viewers, I begin with the narrative. International days and weeks. Of course, I must relate to you that this is about a special day celebrated on 16th of September. It was occasion on 16th of September called International Day for Preservation of Ozone Layer. International Day for Preservation of Ozone Layer, which was observed on 16th of September. I'm slightly late this time. I had a number of other subjects to relate to, so here I am with this subject today. Okay, so in that context, I selected the subject and captioned it as ozone layer depletion, global warming, a cause of great concern. Now, why this is required? Why should we all be aware? Why should we all know about it and try and become more sane, more conscious, to try and reduce the process of depletion of ozone layer, and at the same time try and preserve the ozone layer. So this particular day, and about that I'll say, international days and weeks are occasions to educate the public on issue of concern, to mobilize political will and resources to address global problems, and to celebrate and reinforce achievements of humanity. You see, in this context, I'm sure there are scientists, there have been researchers who have done wonders, have acquired a lot of knowledge about the issue. And mind you, this particular day has been recognized or introduced with the United Nations, the biggest, organization on the face of the earth. It does a lot of good work, makes the humanity conscious of issues and problems, conflicts, and also simultaneously to resolve them, the ways to resolve them. So the existence of international days predates the establishment of the United Nations. Well, this is also equally so a truth. But the UN has embraced them as a powerful advocacy tool. I am proud, ladies and gentlemen, to tell you that I have been associated with the UN in its peacekeeping mission, once as its sector chief in former Yugoslavia. Now, climate change is the defining issue of our time, and we are at a defining moment. From shifting weather patterns that threaten food production to rising sea levels that increase the risk of catastrophic flooding, the impacts of climate change are global in scope and unprecedented in scale. Without drastic action today, that adapting to these impacts in the future will be more and more difficult and more costly. The United Nations Environment Programme, UNEP, I had the good privilege of being connected to it to some extent. The UNEP is the leading global environmental authority that sets the global environmental agenda, promotes the coherent implementation of environmental dimension of sustainable development within the UN system, and serves as an authoritative advocate for the global environment? Well, the ozone layer, a fragile shield of gas. Ozone, the whole matter of the layer is made of gas. The ozone layer, made of fragile shield of gas, protects the earth from the harmful portion of the rays of the sun. It protects the layer, protects the harmful rays from the sun, thus helping preserve life on earth or the planet. So in simple words, ozone layer is a thick shield or a layer of gas protecting the earth from the rays of the sun, which are harmful, and thereby helping preserve life on the earth, the planet. The phase out of controlled uses of ozone depleting substances. The substances which deplete the ozone and the related reductions have not only helped protect the ozone layer for this and future generations, but have also contributed significantly to global efforts to address climate change. So this is the basis where the climate change, the challenges come to the humanity. Furthermore, it has protected human health and ecosystems by limiting the harmful ultraviolet radiation from reaching the earth. The ultraviolet rays that comes from the sun, radiation, comes from the sun. So the harmful ultraviolet radiation from reaching the earth, the climate change, all processes are related to it. Okay. A number of commonly used chemicals have been found to be extremely damaging to the ozone layer. Hydrocarbons or halocarbons are chemicals in which one or more carbon atoms are linked to one or more halogen atoms: fluorine, chlorine, bromine, or iodine. They're all part of halogen atoms. Halocarbons containing bromine usually have much higher ozone depleting potential than those containing chlorine. The scientific confirmation of the depletion of the ozone layer prompted the international community to establish a mechanism for cooperation to take action to protect the ozone layer. Very important, very, very important. This was formalized in the Vienna Convention for the Protection of the Ozone Layer, which was adopted and signed by 28 countries on 22nd March 1985. In September 1987, this led to the drafting of the Montreal Protocol, Montreal in Canada, Montreal Protocol on substances that deplete the ozone layer. In 1994, the UN General Assembly proclaimed on that date the International Day for the Preservation of the Ozone Layer, commemorating the date of the signing in 1987 of the Montreal Protocol on substances that deplete the ozone layer. Now, about the protocol, the Montreal Protocol. It started life as a global agreement to protect the ozone layer. A job it has done well, making it one of the most successful environmental agreements to date. A united global effort to phase out ozone depleting substances means that today the hole in the ozone layer I just mentioned in the beginning, the black hole, the hole in the ozone layer is healing. Good news. I hope it carries on. in turn protecting human health, economies and ecosystems. But as this year's World Ozone Day seeks to highlight, the Montreal Protocol does so much more, such as slowing climate change and helping to boost energy efficiency in the cooling sector, which contributes to food security. The protocol requires the control of nearly 100 chemicals in several categories. For each group of annex of chemicals, the treaty sets out a timetable for the phase-out of production and consumption of those substances, with the aim of eventually eliminating them completely. And I hope this becomes possible. Implementation of the Montreal Protocol progressed well in developed and developing countries. All phase-out schedules were adhered to in most cases, thank God, and some even ahead of schedule. On 16th of September 2009, the Vienna Convention and the Montreal Protocol became the first treaties in the history of the United Nations to achieve universal ratification. Ratification is necessary for the purpose of implementation, execution. The parties to the Montreal Protocol on substances that deplete the ozone layer reached agreement, Kigali Amendment, Kigali, K-I-G-A-L-I, Kigali Amendment at their 28th meeting of the parties on 15th of October 2016 in Kigali, Rwanda, a place in Africa which remained under conflict for a long time. My old boss was the chief of that particular, peacekeeping mission. To phase out, all these fluorocarbons. See the Kigali, the Kigali. Let me just repeat it. The amendment, the Kigali Amendment, at their 28th meeting of the parties on 15th of October 2016 in Kigali, Rwanda, to phase down hydrofluorocarbons, HFCS, hydrofluorocarbons, the materials which are damaging the atmosphere and the ozone layer. The Montreal Protocol and the Kigali Amendment show us that by acting together, anything is possible. So, let us act now to slow climate change. Very important. Today's most serious, the most dangerous, process of climate changing, which stands as the biggest challenge for humanity in the world. They feed the world's hungry and protect planet that we all depend on. You see, so that's why the climate is so important to be arrested, to be controlled, to be stopped. Okay, well, this was the first part of my talk on the important subject of global warming and depletion of ozone layer, its preservation. In part 2 of my narrative, I shall deal with the most important aspect of this process of global warming, depletion of ozone layer, the black hole. Many, many thanks, my dear viewers. Your host, Salahuddin Choudhry, saying goodbye and Assalamu alaikum.